It is so subtle. Moments of Light with Toro the Decoder. The following information is a collection of moments of light over many years, which started with me thinking that my body needed or craved certain foods, but this was mostly related to the conditionings of familiar food. Would my body crave for a food I never had seen or tasted, and growing on the other side of the planet? This became more and more clear after having gone through a month of a water fast. After the first 3 days, the body had no problem at all of not eating. It had no cravings or needs other than it wanted to clean big time and was happy it got a chance. Even the power of the mind was not stronger, and probably was also happy, for I took the time to just be in silence. It also became clear that the usual need for sleep was connected to all the stress we create, because after some time I was over 20 hours awake, and sleep was replaced with rest. And this active rest was for me sitting in inner silent prayer and meditation, and I don't know if I could have gone through the fast without this gift. Now back to all we crave and drink and think we need, which is connected to certain familiar and conditioned foods, done through endless repetitions, and many of them again connected to sugar, salt, or spice. I call them hardcore familiar tastes. After the fast you become more sensitive, likewise being sick, and I could taste the taste of a leaf of lettuce, celery, and go on. Even two apples coming from the same tree had a slight different taste, but also smell different, which confirmed that no two things are created the same, although looking alike. In addition, being in such a state of rest and cleaning, you start to feel the effects of certain thoughts and what they do to the body, and likewise, when tired or sick, feeling the words others speak to you. Without realizing, we manipulate others through certain words and underlying messages, and they do the same to us. The experience of life is much more subtle than we think. I really believe that we as souls didn't came here to eat, but to taste and experience endless things, but not to keep on repeating them, other than learning the basic skills of life in order to survive. By repeating and trying to have the same experience, and I am not just talking about tastes, we create attachments and addictions, and in the end, making us numb. And then we are again looking for something to stimulate or jumpstart. This is how our life in the modern world definitely is. And we have no clue about this, and the price we have to pay for it all. Look at all the diseases, confrontations, and destruction we have caused to ourselves, others, and the world. We don't even see them as wake-up calls or claim responsibility. Even deeper, the external world is merely a reflection from within us as individuals. What we sow, we shall also reap, goes much deeper than just thinking that when I kill someone I might be sentenced to death, or when I really do wrong, that wrong in one way or another will come to me. Each breath we take and step we make kills endless life form. Each thought and word and deed has an effect on me, the body, others, and everything around me and the entire world. Wow, what a discovery! When we are not aware and sensitive enough what we do to ourselves, others, and the world, the alarm system gets stronger and the confrontations become harder. But even then, we are not wanting to wake up, and do something about it. We just keep going like unconscious robots. We only wake up with an alarm clock or because of an ongoing anxiety that moves us, and we just reacting and being lived. We only feel that we have eaten when we have stuffed the body with poor entertainment, foods that just aggressively stimulate the body and take the good stuff, what we need from our own body. In other words, we consume our own body, and which I see as a form of self-created cancer. We only feel alive and awake with loud or ongoing music and noises all around us, and through the day jump-starting it with sodas, coffee and other related artificial stimuli. We only pay attention when somebody speaks loud, threatens us or screams, and we let us further being driven and entertained by deadlines, listening to the news, watching violent movies or playing violent games, and stay somewhat awake with a little wake-up shocks being on the computer or cell phone. This is hardcore living, and not in a good way. It is senseless and without a deeper sense, purpose and meaning of life. When there is still a connection to something higher than ourselves, we drive that also to extremes and even go to war in the name of God. We go to the extent to worship teachers that don't want to be worshipped and worship even the teachings and scriptures itself. Is it about the endless intellectual debates? But who is experiencing and living the teachings? We have built huge expensive buildings of worships, and even there it has become, instead of reminders to go within our own body temple, an entertainment show and an individual interpreted news channel connected to fear with loud words, music and often with food indulgence. Have we become so numb, so insensitive, and fallen for the hardcore robotic life? Yes. And so many times I had to confront myself, but luckily having a constant wake-up call from within. External teachers and guides reminding me about this all, and as well learning from my own children that were innocent and sensitive. Often crying and seeing other children not even been born in the womb of their mother being exposed to this loud, restless and insensitive world what we have created. Even feelings and emotions that once were subtle experiences are now insensitive, intense outbreaks and in need of drugs or mental health care practitioners. A society in which individuals become inflexible and old, stubborn and sick, and parallel become numb, feelingless, closed off and out of touch. A world to which they become deaf, indicating we don't want to hear it anymore. We become blind because we don't want to see it anymore, and go that far that we cannot even remember who and where we are. This is the way to stop smelling the roses, which we thought were only here and there the heights and highs of our life. The subtle smelling of life connected to the nose and smelling, the sense that connects us to this earth, but indicating that the smelling of something disappears the fastest compared with the memories of the other sense organs, and keeping us aware of this mortal, short-lived worldly experience. Even that subtle experience we have lost and manipulated and has become an artificial connection and program linked to the man-created business of perfumes. A wine smeller and taster is probably the only one around, but just in his or her field, that can detect the subtleness and earthly connections. In general, we just drink, gulp, swallow, and cannot detect any of these things, including not detecting who and with what intentions the food and drinks were prepared. Throughout the years, this body became very sensitive, and others would call this a restriction, but it helped me to become more awake and aware. I remembered with my daughter on a vacation, ordering a meal and having mentioned that I ate meatless, fishless, and eggless, and in the night hearing this shrieking noise, finding out the next day that small pieces of lobster had ended up in the meal, and me hearing the pain of the lobster when it was killed in the hot boiling water. Life itself is not a great adventure anymore, in which we could experience in each moment endless things to be experienced, but now only connected to the hardcore experience that when that is not satisfying, and when that is not satisfying, we step onto a spiritual path. Here it becomes about hardcore awakenings and happenings we like to show off about our spiritual awakening, the rebirth, the enlightenment, the transformation, the big change, and other great impressive words. First of all, us forgetting that the big transitions, just like anything else, were either just wake-up calls like sickness and other challenging moments and situations, or gifts that came by themselves. Here again we get trapped in seeking and even expecting the next great awakening, enlightenment and experience. We even can buy books, go on the net, go to specialists and attend seminars. But why are these big moments not coming one after the other? Is it still about the big stuff, the hardcore? Or is it more subtle than we think? Like all the sensitive and subtle things I have mentioned. What about these unexpected subtle moments of experiencing a peace beyond words, or detecting an inner sound more peaceful than anything we have experienced? What about that sigh, as if a load is taken from our shoulders? What about that moment of total contentment or bliss or grace or total silence? A silence that didn't make us afraid. What about that moment that we thought we couldn't take it anymore, a moment that we couldn't keep it together, couldn't control it anymore, and when we gave up and surrendered and experienced a moment of peace? Possibly we are still expecting the fireworks to go off, a huge tunnel of light, golden doors to be opened, and seeing a paradise in the clouds with angels and God in the form we imagined him or it to be. This is all about us again and what we want, think or desire or imagine. Could it be that it all is much more subtle and sensitive and simple? The divine is the essence and subtleness of and within everything. We don't need to look or expect, but just need to get out of the way.